It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. The school bell had just rung, and the corridors of the Delhi government school were filled with fading footsteps and leftover whispers. Ashish Sir, known for his stoic calm and deep voice, sat quietly at his desk in the dusty staff room, sipping lukewarm chai. On the wall behind him hung faded portraits of Hindi poets, Nirala, Mahadevi Varma, and Ankur, watching silently, as if they too carried secrets. Ashish had always been a man of restraint. At 36, he had built a reputation for being disciplined, quiet, and emotionally distant. Married for 8 years to Rekha, a loving but traditional woman, their relationship had settled into a dull rhythm, polite conversations, shared meals, and silent nights. Rekha didn't ask for much. She kept herself busy with temple visits and TV serials. The emotional connection between them had long disappeared, if it was ever there, to begin with. It was during one of those slow afternoons that Ravi entered the staff room. A new assistant teacher, barely 24, Ravi was everything Ashish wasn't. Outspoken, warm, expressive. He was openly queer, a rarity in that part of Delhi. He walked with confidence, wore colorful kurtas, and carried a faint smell of sandalwood and defiance. The staff whispered about him, but Ravi didn't care. "Sir, I read your poem in the school magazine," Ravi said one day, placing a cup of tea on Ashish's desk. The line about unspoken desires, it stayed with me. Ashish looked up, slightly startled. No one had mentioned that poem. It had been tucked away in the last few pages, a piece he wrote one night when the silence of his marriage had become too heavy to bear. "You understood it?" Ashish asked cautiously. "I felt it," Ravi replied, locking eyes for a second too long. That was the beginning. In the days that followed, their tea breaks turned into conversations about poetry, loneliness, literature, and memories neither had shared before. Ravi had a way of looking into Ashish's eyes, as if he could see the man hidden behind the mask of a teacher and husband. One rainy evening, as they both waited for the downpour to subside, Ravi turned to Ashish and asked, "Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" Ashish didn't answer right away. But inside, something shifted. That night, he didn't go straight home. Instead, he sat in his car parked in a quiet lane and stared at the steering wheel for over an hour. He started looking forward to school again. Not for the students or the classes, but for those small stolen moments in the corridor, a shared laugh in the library, or the occasional accidental touch of hands when passing a notebook. It wasn't love. Not yet. But it was something more dangerous. Understanding. Rekha noticed the changes. "You're smiling again these days," she said once, folding clothes. "Is it because of that new teacher? I saw you laughing with him." Ashish only smiled and looked away. One afternoon, Ravi brought 2 samosas to the staff room. "For you, sir," he said, placing one on Ashish's desk. "Don't say no. I've watched you eat the same biscuit for lunch every day." Ashish took it, more out of surprise than hunger. Their fingers brushed. Neither of them moved immediately. There was a silence between them, not awkward, but charged. Ashish felt it. The warmth, the danger, the possibility. Later that day, while sitting alone in his study, Ashish opened a blank diary and wrote, "When someone finally hears the words you never spoke, you begin to feel real again." He didn't know what this was yet, friendship, affection, or a dangerous illusion. All he knew was that for the first time in years he felt seen. And that terrified him more than anything else. Outside, the rain continued to fall. Slow, persistent, and without oppo. It happened on a Thursday evening. The school had organized a poetry recitation competition, and Ravi had asked Ashish to stay back and help judge the entries. The event ended late. Most of the staff had already left. The corridors were empty, the classrooms dark, and the faint echo of a harmonium still lingered from the auditorium. They sat together in Ashish's classroom, papers scattered across the desk, the two of them laughing at a student's accidental use of prem in a war poem. The laughter faded slowly. Ravi looked at Ashish, not with mischief, but with something far more intimate. "Do you ever wish your life had turned out differently?" Ravi asked, softly. Ashish didn't respond with words. Instead, he looked away, eyes settling on the dust particles dancing in the fading light. Ravi stood up, walked over, and gently placed a hand on Ashish's shoulder. It lingered. Ashish didn't move. In that moment, silence spoke louder than any confession. Ravi leaned in. Their lips met, tentative, hesitant, but electric. For a second, Ashish felt breathless. Not out of fear, but release. He pulled back. This can't happen, he whispered, his voice shaking. It already did, Ravi replied. That night, Ashish drove home like a stranger to his own house. Rekha greeted him with her usual smile and a warm plate of food. She didn't notice the way his hands trembled while holding the spoon. The days that followed were filled with secrets and glances. Their meetings turned into late-night texts, occasional hotel rooms booked under fake names, and lies told to Rekha about schoolwork and extra classes. Ashish felt torn between duty and desire, comfort and truth. Every time he was with Ravi, he felt alive, like the walls he had built around himself were finally cracking. But each time he looked at Rekha, asleep beside him, or praying in the morning light, guilt crawled up his spine like a slow fire. One evening, lying in a dimly lit hotel room, Ravi asked, "Do you love her?" Ashish stayed silent. Ravi sighed. "Then, do you love me?" Ashish turned to face him. "I don't know what I feel. I just know that when I'm with you, I remember who I am." Ravi didn't smile. "That's not enough, Ashish. I can't be your escape." Things began to unravel. Rekha started noticing. The shift in Ashish's gaze, his delayed returns, his sudden defensiveness. She didn't confront him directly, but she began watching. One afternoon, while folding his laundry, she found a hotel key card in his shirt pocket. She said nothing. But that night, she didn't speak a single word at dinner. Ashish sensed it. The distance. The unspoken questions. Meanwhile, Ravi grew more restless. He had begun to feel like a shadow in Ashish's life, real and private, invisible in the world. "I'm tired of hiding," he told Ashish after school one day. "I don't want to be a secret anymore." Ashish looked at him, pained. "You think I want this life? You think I wanted any of this?" Ravi's voice cracked. "You didn't choose to be gay, Ashish. But you're choosing to lie. Every day." Those words stayed with him. That night, Ashish sat beside Rekha on the bed, watching her apply coconut oil to her hair in silence. He opened his mouth, then closed it. He couldn't bring himself to speak the truth. Instead, he mumbled, "I'm tired. Let's sleep early." The next morning, Ashish checked his phone. A single message from Ravi. "You need to choose. Not between me and her, but between living a lie and living it all." It was the first time Ashish felt fear and clarity at once. A crossroads had appeared, one that would demand a price no matter which path he took. And in the quiet corners of his heart, he knew the affair had never just been. It was a quiet Sunday morning, the kind of silence that feels heavy instead of peaceful. Ashish sat alone on the balcony, a cup of untouched tea growing cold in his hand. Below, the street vendors called out lazily, and children flew kites on the rooftop. But inside their flat, something had shifted permanently. Rekha had finally spoken. The night before, she had found another message from Ravi. Not hidden, not coded, just honest. "I waited for you today. I won't wait anymore." She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply walked into the living room, phone in hand, and placed it on the table. "How long?" she asked. Ashish looked at her, the woman he had lived with for 8 years. She was wearing the same green shawl she always wore during winters. Her eyes didn't accuse. They just waited. "A few months," he said. "And before that?" she asked. Ashish paused. "Before that, I was lonely." Rekha sat down, her back straight, her fingers fidgeting. "Did you ever love me?" Ashish's throat tightened. "I wanted to." She gave a bitter smile. "That's what I thought." Then came the words he wasn't prepared for. "I always knew, Ashish. Maybe not at first. But after the second year, I saw it. The way you looked at some men. The way you never looked at me. I thought I could be enough to fix it. To change it. But I was wrong. Ashish broke down. Not with tears, but with silence. A silence that had lasted most of his life, finally cracking. I didn't mean to hurt you, he said. I know, she replied gently. But you did. Rekha left the house a week later. She went to stay with her sister. She didn't ask for a divorce, not immediately. Figure yourself out first, she had said, then decide. Ravi, too, had stopped responding. His presence vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, like a summer breeze that had never intended to stay. Ashish was alone now. But in that loneliness, something unexpected began to grow. Honesty. He started attending an LGBTQ+ support group on Sundays. It took weeks for him to speak, but when he did, the words flowed like water breaking through a dam. I'm a teacher, a husband, a man who has lived a life scripted by others. I don't know who I am without the lies. But I want to find out. The group clapped gently. Not for bravery, but for truth. A year passed. Ashish and Rekha began speaking again. Not as husband and wife, but as two people who had shared a long misunderstanding. She had begun working with a local women's NGO. He respected that. She, in turn, respected his choice to live alone. I'm not angry anymore, she said once during a phone call. Just sad that we were never taught how to live honestly. Ashish understood that now. That truth doesn't always set you free right away. Sometimes it leaves you empty, but at least it leaves you real. One bright July afternoon, Ashish was walking near Connaught Place, buying books from a street vendor. The city was buzzing. It was Delhi Pride March. He hadn't planned to attend. But something pulled him toward the colors, the music, the laughter. Then in the crowd he saw him, Ravi, wearing a rainbow dupatta, laughing with friends, holding someone's hand. Their eyes met for just a second. Ravi didn't smile. He didn't look away either. Just a soft nod, an acknowledgement of something beautiful and broken. Ashish didn't approach. He didn't need to. He stood at the edge of the crowd, watching the parade move forward. For the first time, he wasn't hiding. Not from Rekha. Not from Ravi. Not from himself. That night, Ashish sat at his desk and opened a new journal. On the first page, he wrote, "Sometimes love doesn't end with a kiss. Sometimes it ends with truth. And that is enough." He closed the diary, opened the window, and let the warm breeze wash over him. In the distance, the city pulsed with life, unforgiving, chaotic, but honest. And Ashish smiled, not for what he had lost, but for who he had finally found. White heavy checkmark, end of story. Would you like a YouTube narration script format? A Hindi version of the full story? Thumbnail title ideas, description, or voiceover script tips? Let me know how you'd like to move forward. I'm happy to help with the full video package.